It's actually October 26th. No, it's October 27th. And my dogs are all lined up. It's almost 5 o'clock. And my dogs are all lined up. There was 5 of them here. And, Sally. Look, I have chicken. I have chicken in the sink. And then Sally. But Sally was looking up there. She knows something's up there. And I'm going to bake it. But I'm not going to give them any. And I didn't feed them yesterday because they're getting too fat. Because I've been giving them a lot of food. Big helpings. And I give them... Now, I'm not giving them raw chicken anymore. Because one thing, I haven't went to Walmart, and the other thing costs, and then the other thing is, the vet told me not to give them raw chicken. I don't see why it would hurt them any. They can eat other raw meat and never made them sick, and they can digest the bones. So, but look, speaking of bones, I was looking at this bone I got from my driveway, and look, it's got wire. It has wire going through it. Wire going through the bone. That's wire right there. Well, I just broke a piece off because it's rusty. But, so, and I don't know why, but, you know, I just I have to think about this kind of stuff, you know, it's like a haunting, you know, it's like a reminder. Like, I don't really know exactly what Sport went through. I mean, what Quinn went through when she died, because I only seen her missing and I started seeing parts of her body. So, but I just noticed that today. And it's just irritating. I mean, I know she's already dead and everything, and just like I know Sport's dead, just like I know my dogs are dead. It's not like they're suffering, but it's just the horrific kind of way in which they had to die. I mean, and even some natural causes, but Jesus Christ. And anyway, but today I was looking for scaffolding online, so I finally got back into my Facebook account, which I haven't accessed for a long time. But I don't want to go back to it. I looked at some of it, and I just don't want to be reminded about people and engage in all that bullshit. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's too much for me to engage in. And plus, you know, if somebody can't contact me personally, then I don't really need to be acquainted with them anyway. That's the way I feel. And so anyway, I seen that I had a friend request from my cousin Dina, who was oldest of my Aunt Jackie and Uncle Dave's children. And so she sent me a friend request, and I accepted it, of course, and then messaged her and had a few conversational dialogues. And she told me that on Facebook, you know, people have been mean-spirited. And so she just goes on for, like, you know, to support causes and stuff like that, I guess. But, you know, I got a friend, you know, Lisa Kondo Bartlow on Facebook, and she's got Mastiffs, and she puts out the greatest videos set to her dogs set to cool music. And I'm doing funny stuff, because Mastiffs are really funny dogs. They're like people. They're like little 2-year-olds, or maybe 3-year-olds, depending, you know, how smart they are, you know. But some of them are pretty instinctual, and they use Mastiffs even as therapy dogs to take them into hospitals, and and people benefit just by their mere presence, because they got that spirit in them of a Mastiff. I can't help but think about Charlie. But anyway, you know, and all of these dogs of mine come now, every one of them, because Sport's gone. Now every one of them that I have left, you know, they're either Charlie's grandfather or Charlie's father. Like, Charlie was Boomer's grandfather, and Boomer and Charlie got into a fight one time, and it cost a lot of money to get Boomer stitched up, and it cost money to get Charlie stitched up, because when Charlie got cut, his leg got cut and his skin fell all the way down, and Boomer took a pierce to the belly, and I had to have surgery on him. Like, they had to go in there and do something or other, tie him up or something, I don't know. And then they had a drain plug, and I don't know, I can't remember what happened, but it broke and went inside. Then I had to have another surgery. But anyway, you know, they got along after that. I mean, you know, but Boomer's always been a badass ever since he was a baby. And you know, dogs don't have regard, according to other dogs, even their parents, after they get to a certain point. So, but I don't know, I think Charlie always would have looked after Goldie and Rosie, though, because Goldie and Rosie were the mothers of all my dogs, except for one, Rip. So Rip is half Charlie and half Rogue. Rogue was an American Staffordshire Terrier, or is. I don't know if she's still alive or not. And, you know, Charlie, a full English Mastiff. It's hard to believe that Rip has English Mastiff in him, but he does. No, Rip is a girl. Anyway. Oh. But today is October 27th, and it's good for me to hear from my cousin Dina. She said people have been being mean-spirited to her, so she don't really like to get on Facebook. You know, I don't know. It's probably from political stuff. You know, that's why people usually are mean-spirited, as far as I know. It's mostly because they don't like Republicans, or they don't like Democrats, or they don't like somebody politically. But now, in these times, it has to be that way, because you have different versions of reality, and the truth today is going to be whose side is going to be the truth. You know, like actually, like whoever wins a fight, their side will be the truth. That ain't very good for the people that are losers, because most of the time the people that are the losers are the people with the less money. See, the advantage always goes to the rich. But, you know, I was thinking about what I'm putting on my sign out there, you know, about being the best of times and the worst of times. And even though a lot of stuff is going on, the best of times is because, look, there is a No Kings rally. And the fight is coming to the shore. I mean, it's coming to the fight is coming to our border. The fight is coming to our yard. Okay? America is going to choose which side it's going to go toward. And this fight is going on right now, and it's a badass fight right now is what's going on. And the way that I see it is between the rich and the poor, and the poor that are deceived, maybe the poor that want to be rich. But there's gonna be a finer line of delineation between the ins and the outs. Okay, and this bunker that Trump is building for himself, okay, and his buds, okay, the rich people, yeah, they're gonna go into the bunker. That's why he's reinforcing the bunker underneath the ballroom for the fallout, because he's saying, look, man, the fight might come because I'm ready to lay down some bad kimchi, and these people are going to revolt, and we're going to have to take control of them, and we're probably going to have to call in the military to do it. So be prepared, military. See, that's where we're at right now. And that's not an over-exaggeration. I know what hyperbole is, and this is not hyperbole. But, you know, so there's a lot of fighting going on about that. Like, and I'm just saying, you know, okay, that's probably why, you know, what she's referring to, people being mean-spirited. And also then about being mean-spirited, you know, I was thinking today, because, you know, I realized I've been thinking like in terms of, you know, eradicating, you know, somebody's bloodline because, you know, they hurt my dog or dogs, or if they did, and a warning that don't do it, because I will, if you do, I'll not only have to kill you, but I'll have to eradicate your entire bloodline, even if it costs me my life. And as I was thinking about that, and it's a hard thing to push forward, I was thinking about I was thinking about how I was saying in my last journal entry that when you get into a fight, it's like a downward spiral. Anytime you get into a fight, okay, it's a downward spiral. So the best thing to do is to get off the fight. But it's not like I don't take the principles of Sun Tzu into my consideration when it comes time when I'm in a situation where I have to fight, okay? And even Sun Tzu would say, don't fight unless you have to fight. That is like probably the first principle of Sun Tzu. Pick your fights wisely. And the second principle is probably you don't get into a fight that you can't win. He says something like the fighter, the successful fighter is a fighter who wins before he goes into battle. Okay. So you don't enter into a fight that there's any chance that you're going to lose. That's why you have to strategize before you ever get into a fight. Well, putting out a sign might be a way for me not to get into a fight, because tell my enemies to back down. Stand down, ass clown. So, that's what I say. But see, I was thinking, I've been dreaming a lot about a conflict. Like, I just had a dream this morning about, you know, somebody like taking some kind of logic card, some kind of logic card from from some kind of system I got, surveillance system or network system or something that I was doing, okay? And I have done both professionally and personally. It seemed like this was for me personally, though. And and then that was early this morning. And then another time before, it was about my guitar. Somebody took it's not even like this thing right here, that thing right there that the thing goes in that you turn to tighten your strings and stuff like that. Well, my guitar was missing all the pieces that the metal pieces that go in there, because you can't have that thing going just straight wood to wear out. And all my metal pieces were gone. And it was somebody that I knew it looked like they took them. And so why do I gotta go through this? And it seems like an alternate parallel reality, having different experiences where I'm like in some kind of conflict. People taking my stuff, or doing something trying to mess me up. Well, trying to mess me up by taking my stuff, or it might be for their own greed, or it might be because they want to try to mess me up somehow, But in either way, it's conflict. Just like I was thinking also, I had a friend, Steve. I had a friend, Steve, and he died. He died like within the last couple years, and then I had a dream about him, and I had a dream that he ripped me off of a rent payment one time, because he was renting my house out for me, and then he ripped me off of a month or something. And I had a friend do that before. I was renting my house out, and then the guy didn't pay me. But that look, that kind of stuff happens, anytime you got to make some kind of deal with somebody, a lot of people break their deals and stuff, or something happens. But these dreams, they come out of nowhere, like a guitar that I don't own. Okay, that Logic card was made by the brand name was Hamsfeld. And like when in my dream, I was thinking, I remember that name, because even in my dream, I was like observing the situation. I was thinking, like, I remember that name. Where did that Hamsfeld come from? But when I woke up, okay, I don't know anything about any Hamsfeld brand or anything. I never heard of Hamsfeld. But it sounded very familiar in my dream. But it doesn't really sound familiar, like, really now when I'm trying to think. I didn't look it up or anything. I mean, I've seen a lot of different names of cars. I mean, I'm not saying it's stuck back there in my memory from seeing something I worked on one time or something like that, But it's not a major name, and I just experienced it in my dream as I was remembering it, but I don't really remember it right now. And what that kind of tells me is I'm more believing in, like parallel realities or something like that. I think that's probably the way it is. I don't think anything could be more likely. I mean, if you look at the odds and everything. I mean, seriously. And since I'm having dreams of, like, I was dreamed I knew how to, I was taught how, somebody was teaching me the mechanics of flying an airplane. And I never took one airplane, flying class in my life. Or never even played a game where I was even learning it. And what the person was teaching me was stuff that I'd never even heard in my life. Like, with brand new information. And I remembered some of it when I woke up. But you know, and like if I did write it down, I don't know where I wrote it at anymore. Sometimes I used to write notes about my dreams down, but like I don't know where they are now. That's why I'm making my journal right here. I actually know what I'm thinking about right now, so I can date this and look back, and I can know. So this is you know, where I'm at right now. Thinking about more about trying to get out of the trap, the downward spiral trap of fighting. Okay, that's number one. Because I was thinking that if I could do it in this life, I would affect it in all these other parallel process lives that I'm probably living out in conjunction with this one. And I'm just getting a little bit of the signal is coming through, because, you know, to give me a encouragement and an incentive, you know, to try to like de-escalate and make the fighting stuff not real anymore. Quit stoking the flames or stoking the coals and making flames, because if I can get rid of it in this life, I feel like I can get rid of it in the other ones. And so I'm kind of thinking that that's why I'm having these dreams. And these dreams are letting me know that my life is actually multiplied. Like what I'm doing here now, okay, I'm also doing somewhere else, just like with a different set of cards, with a different hand of cards, or whatever like that, you know. Experience is a little bit different. Because this is a thing that they say about quantum physics and the quantum field. And the stuff they've been learning about in the whole new quantum experience and information preceding reality and all that kind of stuff. And they've even been talking about stuff that this is kind of like the second go around, that the Sphinx, that big cat or whatever with the big head, whatever it is, it's got a big head, smaller bodies, because it's been weathered. They say it's a lot older than what they've been saying it is. Like it's from completely, and it's weathered that much. It's a completely different kind of civilization, even before the Egyptians. And also the pyramids. And that they had, and there's other things that have been made. And now with AI, they just translated all the writings from the you know, back in the Egyptian times, not hieroglyphics, but I don't know. They don't use any. It's not like writing like we have. They don't look anything like it. Sometimes they use pictures too. But thing is, with AI now they translated it all, and so a lot of it, what it's talking about is just like normal activities. But I'm just saying, AI figured it out. What would take a person 20 years working on one chapter to figure out, okay, AI did like in 20 minutes. Figured it all out. And now with this new it's a third interstellar comet. It's a comet, like, well, it could be a comet, but it's called 3I Atlas, third it's like interterrestrial or something like that. Interterrestrial or something like that, but it has to do with it goes out bigger than the stars and all that. Past our galaxy, from another galaxy into our galaxy, and it happened 3 times so far that they've documented, okay, and they know because they've already taken pictures of everything that's outside of us up to a certain point. And then at that point now, I can't remember what the actual word is. Interstellar. I think it's interstellar. It's a third interstellar like comet, but they're saying it's not even acting like a comet. And they say it even changed course. And comets don't change course. And they can tell what kind of metal and stuff is like on the outside of it. And it's the kind of metal they say that doesn't appear to, it seems to be manufactured. And there's a lot of stuff, but when you listen to these guys talk, in fact, I think I got one actually. I think, yeah, look.
Forging consciousness in fire. The cosmos roars, are we listening? December could break history. 3I divided by Atlas. Blade, betrayer, breaker. The magnetic field splits, satellites fall, and the glow on dark matter maps lights hidden webs. Is the jet stirring them, or an artificial field breaching our shield? Facts hold. Code 2 to H2O, ratio 8:1, stable 8. 7-hour spin, hyperbolic outbound. Nickel without iron, industrial echo. No signals yet, but activity spikes near the Sunday Mars orbiters saw jets, dust, cocoons, a saber of light. Buzz debates, alien assault versus natural flux. Conjunction risks peak, October 29, perfect for attack. Imagine
October
is burned
29.
in a distant star's forge, sleeping eons.
October 29. That's in a couple days. Perfect time for attack? Holy crap. These are notes. These are just notes from the, like whatever they're gathering from, like, you know, they got the satellite telescopes in outer space. One of them is called something by the last name of Webb. And then they got big ones on the ground, but the ones in outer space, and they still got like Voyager, like the Voyager, the old Voyagers from, like, I think one went out like in 1975 or 1976, and it's still out there, and it already went past our solar system. Yeah. And it takes pictures, and then sends the pictures back, and then sends kind of notes and everything. And that talk, it almost sounds like a gibberish. Because to the untrained ear, it is gibberish, okay? But that's scientific language. And they're saying that that 3-1 Atlas looks like it has a propulsion from the inner core. And I heard some people talking about saying, like, it seems to be a relic from a lost civilization. Like they sent it out and then it's been just out there, and the space debris has kind of went over it and everything. But it appears to be acting like it's a sensor. And the thing that's coming up is that it's going to be hidden behind the sun, and we ain't going to be able to see it once it gets over there. And we're not going to be able to see it for like 3 weeks. And we have no idea what that thing is going to be doing. And we don't even know what it actually is. So, you know, I'm just thinking like life is going to go on as usual, you know. But it does appear to me that there is coming a time when things are going to change in a big way. And the other thing is, even if, you know, in our lifetimes, you know, we'd never really had any contact or anything like that with any friendly alien species, that doesn't mean that even the government won't make something up, okay? Just so it can appear that we have to be engaged in a fight against aliens, and then they can just feed us a bunch of bullshit. And you know, you can see how they can just make stuff up. Like they capture your voice, capture your picture, you know, and then they can just make a whole cartoon about you look exactly like you. And they can just feed America and the whole world a bunch of bull crap. Yeah, I don't believe it. This is a good possibility it could happen. Now, and that I learned actually from listening to SETI. There's this SETI group, search extraterrestrial intelligence, in search of like extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI. And you know, I mean, they give the real deal. They're actually watching this stuff, and they also said that could actually happen, you know. The government could make us think that they're at war with the aliens just to keep the money flowing in. Just to keep the industry going. Now, so I bring this journal entry to a close about the things, you know, that I'm aspiring to, like maybe thinking in terms of making more peace and stuff like that, and at least using like jujitsu, you know, like so I'm like thinking, okay, well, okay, if I get struck on the right cheek, I'm not going to turn to left also and then take an invitation, hit me again, because that ain't who I'm like, okay? But I'm thinking about, you know, the spirit of what Jesus meant is to have that much power in your life that you can say, turn the other cheek and hit again, because the last one sure didn't hurt. Come on, bring it on. Okay, maybe in that kind of spirit. And that would be consistent with Sun Tzu, you know. Don't enter into a fight that you can't win. And so I'm trying to now change my spirit and my frequency so that I can quit having these conflicts internally and externally. And especially when I see a bone like this right here, you know. It's like somebody was trying to do something with his bone, like, I don't know, stick a wire through it or something. And I already said, you know, I found that purse full of Quinn's bones in my garage. So, this is a real challenge for me. I gotta change the reality for real. Okay? And that's what I'm gonna call this one, okay? Change in reality for real. That's the challenge I'm up against right now. In spite of all this other stuff that's going on, you know, I still know that my challenge is to change my reality for real. That's what I'm gonna call this one. And so, you know, I hope you, my grandchildren, you know, like I'm saying this for your benefit, okay? And of course, you know, for me, but also for your benefit. All of you, bye.